Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Township Planning Commission. It is August 14th, 7 o'clock. Let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, Mr. Andrews, can you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Trombley.
Here.
Mr. Lake.
Here.
Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
Mr. Andrews is here. Mr. Helm.
Here.
And Mr. Steiner's excused. Mr. Weens is absent.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 4, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion we approve the agenda.
Support. Mr. Tremblay supports. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, moving on to item 5, approval of the minutes from July 10, 2024.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from July, what's the date, 24?
Should we move Mr. Tremblay to excuse?
Mr. Tremblay will abstain from them, yes.
I mean, excuse, not absent on the minutes.
The minutes.
No, I haven't notated it. We're not going to amend the minutes for
Okay.
that. Yeah, we're good.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed. Moving on.
Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Got it? Okay. Okay, moving on to item 6, public comment. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Seeing nobody interested in making a comment, we'll move on to item 7, new business. Request for final plat, site plan approval for Montreal Estates Phase 3 on parcel number 5802-028-052-16 located on the north side of Stearns Road, west of Jackman Road. Ms. Rector?
Yes, the applicant is Infinity Electric, 6622 Summerlin Boulevard. That seems loud. The owner is Scott Bolin. Engineering is Colony and Colony. And its current zoning is PUD with the underlining zoning of R2A single-family residential. The final PUD was approved for Montreal Estates, a 61-unit condominium project located off Stearns Road between Douglas Road and Jackman Road, zoned PUD R2A. Planned unit development with an underlining zoning of R2A single-family residential. The plus or minus 20-acre parcel has a total proximity of 114.89 feet of frontage on Stearns Road, which provides one means of ingress-egress. The public hearing for preliminary concept approval for the request was held on November 16, 2016, where the Planning Commission recommended approval, and on December 6, 2016, the preliminary concept PUD was approved by the Township Board. On 2/14/2018, the Planning Commission recommended to rezone to PUD R2A, final PUD approval, and final site plan approval for Phase 1. Township Board granted approval for all on 4/3 of 2018. On 4/12/2023, Phase 2 was approved by the Planning Commission. This request is for final site plan for Phase 3. Phase 1 consists of 19 units, Phase 2 consists of 24 units, and the final submittal request for the approval for Phase 3, consisting of 18 units, will complete the project. Non-vehicular circulation, the sidewalks are proposed around the interior units. The site plan, Planning Department had spoken with the developer, and the lighting is only installed on the homes within the development, and that was determined with the previous owner. Utilities, municipal water, and sanitary services are available. The stormwater and roads are private. Approval letters with conditions, comments have been received from the Monroe County Drain Commission on 6/11/2024, the Manikin Smith Group on 7/19/2024, the Monroe County Drain Commission in regards to soil erosion and sedimentation control on 7/10/2024, and the Bedford Township Fire Department on 2/5/2024. No approval is required from the Monroe County Road Commission as the roads are private. In summary, final site plan approval for Phase Estates shall be conditioned upon addressing all comments and conditions as stated in the Monroe County Drain Commission in regards to soil erosion and sedimentation control, the Manikin Smith Group, and the Bedford Township Fire Department review letters. The master deed for Phase 3 must be submitted and reviewed for approval by the Manikin Smith Group and the Township Attorney.
Thank you. Is there somebody for the applicant? You can come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Scott Bolin, 6622 Summerlin Boulevard in Lambertville.
Okay, Mr. Boland, we're 2 members short tonight, and you'll need 4 affirmative votes for this motion to pass. Do you want to proceed or defer?
I didn't know there were going to be 2 missing. What do you think, Jody?
I can't tell you yes or no.
Yeah.
You need a majority, you need 4 affirmative.
4? You know, I think I want to do it because this is obviously the 3rd phase of 3 phases. The other 2 are, you know, been really, it's gone very well. So
Okay,
I think I'm good.
we'll proceed.
Okay, thank
Do you
you.
want to add anything to what Ms. Rector?
Again, you know, this is just phase 3 of a 3-phase project. So phase 1, I purchased that. It was already started. We finished it. We installed phase 2. Phase 2 is moving along pretty good, and we just want to be ready for phase 3 when we get, you know, to the plateau we want to be at to move forward. So,
You want to stay there just in case anybody has questions?
okay.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Boland?
I guess my first question is more for Jody. I'm trying to understand what's the difference between a PUD versus a PUD with an R2A single-family residential like underlying there. I'm not sure if I understand that. I don't know if it pertains really to phase 3, but I'm just trying to understand the difference there.
The zoning on the property was R2A, but to make it a condominium project, it has to be zoned to a planned unit development. It maintains the underlying zoning. The PUD allows some for flexibility of setbacks, the perimeter surrounding, abutting the other properties around it. It's all residential in this area. They have a large area of open space around them. They have to have so much percentage of that to go through the PUD process. But the township doesn't actually have a condominium ordinance, so this is the process that condominiums, private developments have been going through for many years. We have several of them in the township, but in this case, you'll see the hash marks around the units. That is the area that is buildable. The area around it is limited common, and then the area around the entire perimeter is common area. The middle of the property of the phase 3, this area here, is all common area. I believe at some point the developer may put in a gazebo of some nature there at that site.
Okay. Thank you for the clarity.
You're welcome.
Speaking of that area, what are your plans for that? I was thinking it would be a detention pond.
No ponds. The detention area is already in. So that right now is just a green space. So we'll probably put some mounds in there, and then, you know, because it's kind of designed so you have no one in your backyard. And, you know, we'll probably put a nice gazebo back there, you know, dog area. People can walk their dogs back there. It's actually a pretty large area. This place probably has more common area than any subdivision around.
Is it
unique.
intentional, or what? Or could you put more homes in there?
No, because it's a PUD, I don't think we can amend that at all. So, and there's really no access to it. No.
I'm just curious.
There is no road frontage. There would be no permitted homes on that. No additional homes. There's no, this portion of that we're talking about, that I'm going around with the cursor, is part of this phase 3, and you can see the road is here, and these are homes. So this piece has no road frontage. They're all homes around it. So it would have to remain as open space. He would have to amend and then go through the entire PUD process to even attempt to put in a road, and then he would eventually lose 2 homes or possibly more to put in a road to even maybe gain a couple homes, and then it would go through the entire process all over. I don't believe that's the intent. I believe phase 3 will close out this project.
I think I remember the original plan. I think also there was a huge amount of drainage area that needed to maintain, you couldn't build on. If I remember, there's a...
Yes, in the front, if you, I don't know if any of these plans show that because it's, let's see if I can zoom in at all. So if you look at the, I wish this was touchscreen. The plan itself here, you can see the large setback Maybe. You can see the large setback in this area. This is Stearns Road down here, and you can see the, I believe it's Montry Drive that comes all the way back, and that's where the first home starts. That is all, there is floodway and floodplain there. So the homes do sit quite a ways back off of Stearns Road.
Are the homes in a floodplain or no?
No.
No.
I drove back there. I was impressed with how clean you've kept it up, and you're moving units, and it's moving right along. Are you happy with it?
Thank you. Yeah, it needed a little TLC, so we spiced it up a little bit. And we've got a lot more to do, but, you know, we're third phase, we're going to mount along the east side and, you know, just make that real nice along there.
You have the letter from Manick and Smith Group, right?
Yep.
And you're following all their
Yep.
recommendations, okay?
Currently, that's underway right now, so I don't think we can move any farther until that's all been corrected, which
Okay.
that's in the process, so.
Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Boland? Mr. Andrews?
Regarding the common area in the center, that's kind of part of phase 3, I guess, who's going to take over maintenance of that area once the development is?
The HOA takes care of that. Yeah, we've got, right now, I run the HOA, so we just keep it mowed, but eventually that's going to be all landscape.
Gotcha.
Mr. Lake?
Yeah, maybe just comments for the group. I mean, I'm looking over the plans and whatnot, and, you know, when I went through there as well, you know, typically got sidewalks on both sides, street lights, but originally this was already approved without street lights and with sidewalks on the interior. So, you know, seeing that it's only there in this plan makes sense to me. My only concerns was just all of the things that Manick and Smith had listed as far as preliminary PUD site plan checklist and the final PUD site plan checklist. Outside of that, I don't see any issues with it moving forward as long as those conditions are met.
And I can confirm that, yes, those plans will have to be resubmitted. They will have to have approval of the site plan with no conditions from the Drain Commission, Soil Erosion, and the Manick and Smith Group. Those comments will have to be addressed because they will have to have their Exhibit B, which is required through the PUD process, that will be included in their master deed when it is recorded. So this is the first step for them to be able to get the process approved with these conditions being placed, and then those comments will have to be addressed, and then each individual lot then will have to come in for development through the building department. And they can't get a building permit until the master deed is re-recorded and the township has a copy.
Does he have to come back through the planning commission or just?
They will not come back to the planning, and it does not go on to the township board.
Okay, thank you. Someone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Lake.
I'll make a motion we approve Phase 3 of Montreux Estates, conditioned upon addressing all the comments and conditions as stated by Monroe County Drainage Commission, also in regards to the soil erosion sedimentation control, and also all of the conditions that Manick and Smith Group had listed, as well as Bedford Township Fire Department. Also, the master deed for Phase 3 must be submitted for review and approval by Manick and Smith Group, as well as Township Attorney.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Helm seconds. Mr. Andrews, would you like to take the roll?
Yes. Mr. Lake,
Yes.
Mr. Helm,
Yes.
Mr. Trombley,
Yes.
Mr. Andrews is yes, and Mr. Mahoney.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boland.
Good luck.
Okay, moving on to item 8, public comment. Please state your name and address for the record.
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. I'm here tonight because I have several things that I would like to continue to discuss with you guys. I'm certain with the marijuana issue that you guys will be writing the ordinance, or there's one that's already in place. I mean, it's my understanding you guys actually write the ordinances that the township uses for issues. I don't know if you've rewritten the fence ordinance yet, because that needs to be looked at. People go and buy the fences. They usually come in 6-foot standard heights, and then they put them up. I believe there should be a permit, doesn't have to be paid, But we have people that are putting up their 6-foot fences with 2 foot below them, and then they fill in the dirt and say, okay, it's 6 foot from the ground. So that's an issue. And I think, especially if they go on the line, it should be mandated that they do a survey and that the neighboring property know exactly where the survey stakes are and stuff. It would help a whole lot of neighborhood issues. I'm not having an issue, by the way. The sidewalks, again, we have the bike paths or whatever are putting more people onto the sidewalks, and we have motorized bikes and scooters and so forth using the sidewalks. And again, that's another ordinance that needs to be studied. And it may be, if you guys can't do that, maybe in the next round we could get a group of people, a committee that would look at these ordinances so that there is some public input. And onward to the fourth one. It may be an oversight, but I believe there's only one sign allowed on a business site. And if you look at the building where the BBA is, which is now just an office inside, they have the BBA sign, which is automated or whatever, electronic. And I know there are rules with that. There is another sign on that property, and it is not permitted. There was no permit pulled. No conditions were met to have that sign up. So that's a concern. What's good for one is good for another. So appearances are everything. And then last, Eagle Ridge. You guys had an issue back over there on Armstrong and King Street, and the guy had his variance. And somebody from the neighborhood called me, and so we were talking because they had some issues with somebody that they thought was dumping. So there's a whole railroad easement across back through there. But what we have found out, and so it may behoove you to put into your planning and plans and statements when you give these subdivisions, apparently the people from Eagle Ridge are not happy with the size of their lots. And so all of them have opened up a rear gate, some of them double wide, in their fencing, and are using King Street and Armstrong to exit major, huge motorhomes, anything that has to be pulled with a truck, their trailers and whatever else, down through King Street and Armstrong. These are gravel roads. That's not an exit. The township ordinance says you get one way in and one way out of your property, your ingress and egress. And yeah, people park 5 cars across their front yard. That's actually illegal because you have to use your ingress and your egress, which is one. So I'm just, they're not certain, the people in that neighborhood or whatever. We've checked, the railroads checked it. They're not, there was a dumping issue. And so we've had the railroad check their easement all through there because it goes all behind the properties on Lewis Avenue. Dempster, Mildred, Feltus, all those have access to that railroad easement. So, but the issue is that we've discovered that the people from Eagle Ridge have opened up their back fences, and they're using a back way in and using big motorhomes and stuff to come into the back of their properties. So it's up to the neighborhood to see what to do, but I thought it just warrants somebody making a note, I believe, when you do these properties, to let these people know that this is your back line. And so whether they try to shut that alleyway down, we'll see here what happens. So just wanted to share with you, and so have a good night. Keep up the good job.
Thank you. Seeing nobody else, we'll move on to information.
Next scheduled meeting is for August 28th. At this time, I don't have anything prepared. However, the deadline isn't until the 20th. So I will send an email out as soon as the deadline passes to let you know whether there'll be a meeting or not. That's all I have.
As far as fence ordinances, is that on your agenda?
We have had many discussions, since you're asking me about the fence ordinance. We have had many discussions, the building department and myself and Katrina, and with the ordinance department. The concern we fall into is not regarding having a permit or the cost of a permit or looking at what type of fencing, where it's going. It's the issue of the fact We don't determine property lines, and once we start approving a fence, we need to make sure we're protected as a township, that we're not going to determine property lines. We don't have an on-site surveyor, and so if the building official signs off that the fence is in the proper location, then if it comes back and it's across the property line, then the township might have some concern with where a fence is located. So we have looked at the fence ordinance. I agree we should have some kind of submittal to show what type of fencing. Corner lots become problematic, can only have 6 feet in the side and the rear yard, and when a resident assumes it's their side yard, but if it's on 2 road frontages, it's considered 2 front yards, and you can only have 3.5 feet in a residential and 4 feet in an agricultural once it extends beyond that front building line. So that we have looked at the fence. We do have some language being discussed, but we want to make sure that we're very precise on the fact that township is not going to determine where on your property the fence is going to go. So I think even in the past when they've looked at the fence ordinance, that has been the concern once we start approving fences being installed.
Is a building permit required to get a building?
Not at this time.
Fence? Okay. Because I understand at one time we were going to look at noise ordinance. Is that still on the plate?
Noise ordinance has been working with the ordinance department because the township is very specific in certain sections of the ordinance on a time frame. I mean, we break it down to, I know that it just went to the township board not too long ago regarding trash pickup and disposal for when they can go on the roads for time frame because it was causing a nuisance with the neighbors. So right now our ordinance refers to decibels. We don't have anybody that's certified to read decibels, so we're looking at trying to get that defined, but it's in many locations in the ordinance. So we want to make sure once we make a change, we amend it to every section of the ordinance language to make sure that one section doesn't get missed because of a decibel. So we are looking at it. Sensitive because noise or nuisance to one neighbor might not be to the other side.
Mm-hmm. Regarding the marijuana ordinance, as I understand it, our attorney Phil Goldsmith is going to write the language?
At this time, the township board had opted out of the marijuana ordinance in 2018. Moving forward, I'm not sure. At this point, I have not been informed. I believe the process is if it will have to go on the
He's going to write the
election
ballot.
for
Yeah,
November,
that's
and the
doing.
public will have to determine whether they want to move forward with changing the ordinance. Township board is where you would get more defined of that. Now, if it's approved and the ordinance is required to be amended, yes, then it will come back to you.
Here, okay. Great, and I would just refer you to the ordinance department on the sign business at the BBA. That'd be the best avenue. Because the ordinance is written, it's whether they're following it or not. So anyway, moving on to commission staff comment. Mr. Tremblay, do you have anything?
Nothing. Nothing from me. Hope everybody has a great night.
Thanks. Thank you. Mr. Lake?
I was just going to make one comment about the e-bikes or electric bikes. I do think that's probably important to look at from a miles per hour perspective. And I just read an article, Mackinac Island had its first speed limit because of e-bikes, which was interesting, but it's true. You know, they can go pretty fast. And if you're not paying attention as a pedestrian, there could be a collision, right? So I do think there could be an ordinance there. I'm just not sure what it would be. But that was my one comment on that.
And it became a hot topic on the world famous Bedford Unleashed about golf carts in subdivisions. What is the ordinance on that? Do you happen to know, Jody, offhand?
I believe at this time we do not have an ordinance that restricts them. Keep in mind that they are a motorized vehicle, and I believe the state has requirements on that because I do own a golf cart. So I do know there are some state requirements. I believe the law is that you must be 16 with a valid driver's license. But the public can definitely look on the state website.
Okay. Cool. I have nothing else, Mr. Andrews.
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Mr. Helm?
Nothing for me.
Ms. Ingram?
Nothing.
Ms. Rector?
Have a good evening, gentlemen. Oh, and Ms. Ingram.
And with that, we are adjourned.